And so Sergeant Goss told you that he knew all about his daughter being pregnant?
My lord, by the witness's own testimony, this is not what the defendant said. He did not say that he knew all, or indeed anything about his daughter being pregnant.
Did he say in so many words that his daughter was pregnant?
He said he knew all about it. I knew what he meant.
Mr. Easter, was the word pregnant or any other word denoting that condition used in the course of your conversation with Sergeant Goss?
That's what he meant.
Can I be more plain? Was the word pregnant used?
Well, no, not the word pregnant.
Was it synonymous? Any other word meaning the same thing used?
No.
No, we'll carry on.
Did you, at the time of the conversation with Sergeant Goss, know that his daughter was pregnant?
Yeah.
When did you find out?
Night before.
How did you find out?
She told me. I went up there and we went out. She told me she was pregnant. And that she thought he knew about it.
She told you that she thought her father knew about it?
Yeah.
So when you said earlier that you were expecting him down at the glade, you were expecting him to come and confront you with this knowledge?
That's right.
Very well. And so he asked you to step aside, and what happened then?
Oh, he said he wanted me to go down to the youth club with him and he'd get a referee. He said he wanted to have a boxing match with me without his uniform on. He said he would go on until one of us got knocked out, just as long as it took.
And what did you say to that?
Oh, he told him to run off.
Did you use those words?
Whoa, Tom wasn't interested.
And what happened?
Well, he kept going on about it. He was kind of standing up close to me. And he kept kind of shuffling up to me, getting very close, talking right into my ear. I was kind of looking away like. And so he was pushing me over, pushing me down some steps. Or we was by one of the gates, front gate. And he was going on that I was a coward. Look at me, not standing up for myself, not even able to stand my ground. And he goes to push me over, push me down the steps. So I pushed past him.
And then?
Well, he stumbled back a bit, putting it on. And then
What do you mean putting it on?
Putting out that I did him harder than I had, my lord.
You mean he pretended that you pushed him harder than you did?
That's right, my lord.
Yes, I see. Go on.
Well, he stumbled back a bit. And then he came at me. Got hold of me by the shoulders, and he pulled me to him. And he put his fist right low into my stomach. And then the other. And he got hold of my hair, and he pulled my head down. And he put his fist in my face twice. And he pulled me away, pulled me across the road to the car. Someone opened the car door, he pushed me in. And then when he got in, he banged my head on the back of the car seat. He knocked my tooth out, he broke it.
That happened in the back of the car?
In the back of the car, yes, ma'am.
Was it intentional?
Definitely.
Now, during the course of the fight itself, did Sergeant Goss say anything to you or to anyone else?
Well, I heard him warning Tiger and Lofty not to do anything silly. He was warning them not to try and help me.
And you?
He just kept saying, you bastard, you bastard.
Thank you, Mr. Easter. Will you wait there, please?
How well do you remember the fight, Mr. Easter?
Well enough? Very well.
Blow by blow?
Roughly?
How many times were you hit altogether?
6. 5 or 6.
How many times were you hit in the face?
Twice. And on the back of the car seat.
And in the stomach?
Twice.
And was this twice with the same fist or with alternate fists?
When the stomach hit me with the right and then the left.
And when he hit you in the face?
He hit me with his right hand. He was holding me air with his left hand.
Yes, but excuse my persistence, but one so seldom has the pleasure of examining such a good witness. A fight, after all, is a fairly hectic affair and usually the subject of a certain amount of confusion, at least for the participants. You, on the other hand, appear to have counted the blows struck. Is that so?
No.
Oh, come now. Neither at the trial for assault nor in this action has your account differed by a single blow, not a single doubt. Now, if you were not memorizing the fight and counting the blows as it happened, how do you account for this exceptional accuracy?
Well, I don't know. I just remember it.
Were you perhaps preparing the prosecution in between the blows?
No.
Is it not in fact the case that you'd boasted that you would get Goss legally for some time?
No.
And weren't you very pleased afterwards? Didn't you tell the other members of your gang that now you'd get him?
No.
But you did know you could get a policeman for exceeding his duty.
Well, I knew afterwards. Mr. Lippett told me.
And hadn't you, prior to this, for some time, been trying to provoke Sergeant Goss into some sort of retaliation?
No.
Didn't you shout and sing offensive songs outside his home?
No.
Sergeant Goss will say that you did.
Wow.
Now let us turn to something that was not mentioned at your previous trial, which was your relationship with Sergeant Goss's daughter, Susan Goss.
Yeah?
Now, why did you not mention at your previous trial that she was referred to in your conversation with Sergeant Goss?
Well, my father would have found out.
You were anxious that your father wouldn't find out.
Yeah.
So what on earth has made you decide to talk about it now?
My father's died.
Oh dear, I'm sorry. I see. This doesn't, however, answer my question as to the change in your relationship with or your attitude to Susan Goss, that you no longer feel reluctant to talk about your relationship in public. Now, in what way has your relationship with her changed?
We don't see her no more.
You mean that you have broken off your relationship with her?
We just don't see her no more. We broke it off.
By mutual consent?
What's that?
Did you both agree to break it off? Or is it not a fact that Susan Goss was unwilling?
No, we both agreed. We did. We both agreed.
Did you indeed? And so you're happy to leave the girl who was going to have your baby, who was at that time how many months pregnant with your baby?
Oh, I don't know.
You must have some idea.
2.5, maybe a bit more.
And you agreed to leave her.
We both did.
You left her in the lurch, as they say. Now, did it give you any pleasure to think of the distress that this must have caused her parents?
No.
Oh, come on now, Mr. Easter, you're surely human. You claim that a man beats you up, and having done so brings a maliciously motivated prosecution without foundation against you, but that you get no satisfaction out of his distress. You make yourself sound like a saint. Are you a saint?
No.
You must have had the faintest glimmering of pleasure from his distress.
I didn't like the man. You're right, I didn't like him. But I felt sorry for his daughter.
Not sorry enough to have stayed by her, though.
But we both agreed.
Did you not brag of your relationship in the village?
No,
Did you not brag when she became pregnant?
No, I didn't tell anyone.
You mean no one in the village knew about it?
Well, they know now.
Well, how did they find out?
I don't know, it just
Well,
got
Sergeant
about.
Goss didn't tell them, Mrs. Goss didn't tell them. I doubt very much if Susan Goss boasted about it. So how did they find out? Who else knew?
No one.
Except you. Who did you tell?
Well, maybe told Tiger.
And Lofty and Grass and Trevor and everybody else in the village.
it just
you
got
were
about.
putting it round to distress her father.
No.
Now, is it not in fact the case that you were going out with other girls at the same time as with Susan Goss?
No, it is not.
Well, doesn't the name Violet Tredear mean anything to you?
Yes, I know her.
Well,
Yes.
isn't it a fact that you were on sexually intimate terms with her at the same time as with Miss Goss?
No, it is not.
Well, what was the exact nature of your relationship with Miss Tredear, then?
We went to dances. Susan weren't allowed to go to dances.
So you went out with other girls?
Yeah.
You couldn't resist going?
Susan weren't allowed.
You couldn't resist, although she was pregnant by
I
you.
didn't know she was.
So you were ardent enough to see Susan between 3 and 4 times a week. You were intimate enough with her to make her pregnant, and about this you appear to have wasted very little time. But you were happy to go out with other girls. And as soon as the trial that gave you the opportunity to bring this action was over, you were quite happy to abandon her with your child.
We both agreed.
Well, we shall hear to the contrary, Mr. Easter. I suggest to you that you contrived your relationship with Susan Goss, and then you pursued it with such regularity, such publicity, and such distressing results, solely as part of your own personal feud with her father.
Oh, he was nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it.
No further questions.
I call Edward Lippett, my lord. And you're a solicitor, are you not?
Yes.
What are your other activities besides your professional work?
I work with the Moulton Youth Club and the new Recreation Centre.
Now, have you, in the course of your work, come into contact with a group called the ThunderBolt?
I have.
And do you know their leader?
I do. Benny Easter.
Would you tell us what contact you've had with this group, and in particular with Mr. Easter?
The actual work at the youth club doesn't encompass activities that might be of interest to the Thunderbolts. But on various occasions they have come down to the club and have given some of our younger members rides and so on. One of their members gave several talks on the mechanics on motorcycles. And quite recently, Easter offered to make sure there was no trouble at one of our dances. My contact with them, however, has been sporadic.
Have you ever tried to get them to join the youth club?
I have.
Did you meet with any success?
Not really.
What happened?
It was early on, and I believed then, as I think many people still do, that there's something wrong with motorbikes as such. Something faintly criminal about anybody who rode a motorbike for any other purpose than merely getting to work.
Now, when you failed to get them to join the club, did you keep an interest in them?
I did.
In what way?
I went to scrambling meetings at which members of the gang were competing. I watched from the sidelines.
Has your interest gone deeper?
It has. I've been interested in trying to resolve the rivalries that exist between groups from different villages. But most of all, I have taken an interest in these boys and their relationship with the local police.
Now, what do you consider this relationship to be?
Poor and deteriorating in recent months.
How many months?
Prior to Easter's arrest, 7 or 8 months.
Is there any particular officer with whom the relationship is bad?
Sergeant Goss. The bad relations would certainly appear to focus on him.
Is it true that you became a mediator between the boys, that is to say the Thunderbolts, and the police?
I did.
When did this first happen?
There was a particular incident. A group of about 7 boys had been told to produce documents at the police station. When they presented themselves, in order to do so, they were kept waiting for over 2 hours.
My lord, this is hearsay.
Yes, I agree. The witness should restrict his evidence to his own experience.
I apologize, my lord. But the boys complained to me that they had been kept waiting for over 2 hours at the police station.
And what did you do?
I wrote to Sergeant Goss. I outlined the complaint and asked for an appointment to see him.
Why did you wish to see him?
I was well aware that things were not all that they might be, and I hoped I could work out some constructive way of tackling the problem. At all costs, I wanted to avoid a confrontation between these boys and the police.
And did you manage to see Goss?
I did.
What happened at the interview?
Nothing. Sergeant Goss was reticent but polite.
Did you mention the complaint that had been made to you?
I did. He said it was routine. He said it was unavoidable, rather, as there was a shortage of men at the station at the time.
Was he cooperative in the more general sense of solving the problem of the deteriorating relationship between the boys and the police?
No, he wasn't.
What did he say?
He said that the police would tame them.
Mr. Lippett, was it you who advised Easter to bring this prosecution?
No, I didn't advise him to.
Did you discuss it with him at all?
Yes, I did.
Did you not suggest to him that he brought this prosecution?
I told him of his rights in the matter.
Now, you said that you wanted to avoid a confrontation between the police and this gang. Now, was this the best way to go about avoiding a confrontation?
I think so.
Well, doesn't this amount to a confrontation?
It's a question of degree, Mr. Lloyd.
I see, Mr. Lippett. Well, it appears to me that you haven't much faith in the police.
Only in this one respect.
Well, how many letters have you written to the local papers criticizing the police, Mr. Lippett?
Well,
So many you can't count?
2, 3.
7. Now, did you feel snubbed by Sergeant Goss's attitude towards you? Offended?
Not really.
Slightly?
I felt he could have been more cooperative.
Why?
What do you mean?
I mean, why, Mr. Lippett, should Sergeant Goss have been more cooperative with you? Who are you? What authority do you hold? And you were, after all, trying to tell him and the police in general how to do their job.
Not at all. I was trying to iron things out.
Of course you were. Thank you.
The case of Easter against Goss will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court.